Welcome back, everybody. Harry P. from the Driftless Homestead. On this week's show, or this week's video, I'm going to show you guys um, our garden that we started last year at this property and what we're doing with it. We're going to use two different gardening methods this year. Last year, I started with the wood chips, which would be the Back to Eden gardening method. And then this year, we're going to add a row of straw and we're going to use the Ruth Stout method to grow some potatoes in. So the Back to Eden garden method uses the wood chips, and the wood chips decompose into the soil. We have a very poor quality sandy soil here, so the wood chips, as they decompose, are going to build good black earth because it's a rich material that's getting put back into the soil. And it also holds the water in. You know, the sandy soil, it tends up being the water runs through it, and it is very dry. Last year we had a pretty good garden here with the first year for the Back to Eden method. This usually takes 3 or 4 years to set up and get going with the wood chips decomposing and adding to the soil. But you know, instantly last year we had reaction. One, because we didn't have to water because it held the moisture in the soil. And two, after I did it, I went to plant in it, the earthworms. I've never seen any earthworms here. And then, you know, every scoop of soil I pulled out of the ground was just filled with earthworms. So, you know, they are responding to the wood chips as well. And they're big decomposers. So, you know, that's part of it. So, we added 4 feet to each side of the garden, so it's going to be 24 by 24, basically 576 square feet. I Last year we also had cattle panels around the garden, and that's where I grew my vining plants, the tomatoes and cucumbers. And this year we're going to have it's going to be much larger, and then I'm also going to run cattle panels in the middle because I substantially increased the amount of tomatoes we have. It's April 1st right now, so it's about 8 weeks out from planting in the garden, so I've got some time to get those things done, to cut the 2 trees down, to add the cattle panels. I'm bringing in some more wood chips to fill the edge of the garden. So I'd like for you to show up every week and kind of, or bi-weekly, and kind of see the updates in the garden, to see how it's greening up, and then to see how year two of poor soil quality and using the Back to Eden method with the wood chips, how our plants react to that and how we get going. And I'll show you some other different planting methods because I am growing this produce organically, so I'm not going to use any pesticides, but I'm going to use row covers instead. And I got a special tool from Johnny's to make the hoops for the row covers. So let me take you around and show you what I did. I started planting the garden last fall with some garlic and then some blueberry bushes, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with those. Okay, over here you'll see that I planted some blueberry plants. I know they're hard to see because they're all brown, but they're in this row here. There's 4 plants, 2 different varieties. This summer I plan on, after they green up, I plan on air layering those and then running these rows of blueberries completely down this line or this cliff here to here. And then we'll have, I don't know, I guess I'll double my blueberries. I'll have probably 8 to 10 plants on the blueberries. As we go around the edge of the garden here, you see these orange stakes that I got laid out over here? Each one of those orange stakes represents an elderberry bush. Elderberries are very healthy for you, and it's also something that'll come back year after year. So once you got them planted, they're going to keep going. Then over here, kind of have my garlic patch planted. All these stakes represent some garlic. You plant garlic in the fall, and then it'll come up in the springtime on its own, and That's just the timing of when you plant it. I don't know. I don't have a lot of each variety, so I don't know if I'm going to eat too much of it versus just save it for the following year. So that's what we have over there. And then over here, I've got this straw laid out here. And what I'm going to do with the straw is I'm going to plant potatoes right on top of the cardboard and the straw, kind of the Ruth Stout method. And when you do that, the potatoes take the moisture from the straw and they grow through the straw. And then what ends up happening is when you want to harvest potatoes anytime, you just reach in there and pull the potatoes out, and they're very clean because they were never in soil. So that's the quick nickel tour of what we got going on. Of course, we got the wood chips, as you can see.